Hi guys, Seafood Annie here with another deck tech slash interview with you guys you already know, Ilya K, really good player in the format. Ilya K, would you like to do a quick shout out?
Sure. So shout out to Visarius for of Eternal Titans for being a fantastic History of Felon chronicler. Shout out to Eternal Titans Ahorn Delphin for introducing me to the Berserk mechanic, and shout out to Paradox for the other Berserk deck within Sky Zerk. Uh, so those last two have inspired this deck for me to do some exploration where I think that they simply didn't have a chance to cover yet. And let's get on with the show.
Yeah. Uh, Real quick, if you're not familiar, 2 days ago on stream, Ilya K brought this list to us, and it's very interesting. I ended up running really well with it. I went 10-2. Should have gone 11-1, but I made a horrendous misplay, a very big don't. So not only are we going to go over the units and everything, hopefully Ilya K can give you a little insight of how the deck should be played and what you're supposed to be thinking of at all times. So yeah, let's go over the units.
Okay, so this deck is a Twilight Raptor deck, even though it only has three, which might go to four depending on how you like the mix between Snowcrest Yeti and Twilight Raptor. But the unit base is for some number of Snowcrest Yeti for right now, three Twilight Raptor, four Dusk Raider, four Territorial Elf, two Bloodscent Avisaur, four Genev Merchant, also known as Jenny, four Midnight Gale, three Rindra the Duskblade with a fourth in the market. So the idea with this unit base is get going fast, be resilient to removal, and keep the cards flowing with Nightfall. Keep cards flowing, keep the damage pings flowing. This is an aggressive Felon deck, and aggressive decks, the way they lose is that they run out of gas. Nightfall helps you in that regard. The way that aggressive decks lose is they run out of gas with their opponent at digit amounts of life. Nightfall pings help in that regard as well. I know that some fantastic players, such as Manu S, do not like the fact that Nightfall gives your opponent the card first. However, the fact that when you're the beatdown, your life matters less than your opponent's, I think there is some merit to trying to use Nightfall as a way to actually kill an opponent. The units themselves are fairly fragile when they're on the ground. A 2/2 that is Dusk Raider isn't exactly a world beater. A Territorial Elf is a 3/1 with no combat skills to actually get through blockers such as Grendon drones. So it may not be always be the best in your pocket of the meta. I would recommend people experiment with unit bases. If you're facing more mid-range and early contesting of the board, I might suggest something like a Sewer Sludge and Argenport Instigator over the Yeti and the Elf. But nevertheless, the point is you hit the ground running early. You want to get in their face, getting some chip damage. And then as you go further up the curve, you get access to flyers and evasive units such as Midnight Gale or Rindra the Duskblade. Midnight Gale, obviously inferior to another well-known flying life-stealing unit in Unseen Commando, but on a standalone basis, on a one-for-one basis, it hits harder for more than three. And Rindra is self-explanatory for many who have been around the game since set 3. The guy hits like a truck, 5 damage, 5/5 for 4 is about as good as you're going to get outside of time with Sandstorm Titan. Lifesteal and Overwhelm are no joke. Rindra paired with Rapid Shot is going to hit harder. Rindra paired with Rapid Shot and Gift of Battle, which we'll get to, hits like a monster, and then you give him Haunting Scream and Dark Return, and you get where this is going. This deck Starts off getting in people's faces. It wants to get in some chip damage early, then slam its curve topper, and the turn after just launch a massive attack and burst someone from double digit amounts of life to zero in one turn. We're talking highlight reel types of plays. If you've seen fighting games, this is the kind of deck that the analogy is you have a character that's an opposing character that's at half health. You'd think this is going to take more than one combo to kill him, and then somebody bursts out a combo that carries from one corner to the other, uses up all the meter, pulls off two supers, and kills them on the spot. And you thought, hey, I didn't realize I could do this. And this deck is all about that burst damage. It's tuned so that you do some initial chip, and then your curve toppers are going to essentially deliver a massive burst and get in there and finish your opponent just as you run out of cards.
Yeah, just want to go over a little bit about the what you were talking about earlier with the Nightfall mechanic. As we do mostly know that control players use their life as a resource, and this is kind of a punishing effect with the Nightfall mechanic. If they get their life total down to 5 or 6 and think they can stabilize, Nightfall can do a lot of work. Me and Ilya K were talking about one of the games earlier that we had, where I had 5 activations of a Nightfall. And I mean, that's a render attack right there. And our opponent got lethal exactly by 0. That's how we won. And you don't have to worry. Sometimes if you don't get there with the burst damage that he's talking about, just not being able to get them to use 0 right off the bat, I do think that 2 of our games we got them to 1, and the Nightfall mechanic killed them. So even if your burst damage isn't enough, I notice you want to take that leap of faith early instead of later, because the longer you wait, the more chances your opponent's going to have from removal. But sometimes you just take a Midnight Gale, you equip it, give it Berserk, and you hit for 8 damage in the air on turn 4. You just don't worry that you might not get all the damage at once, but the deck definitely has the ability to do that. So we touched base on how the deck hits. We'll go over the spells. Well, Ilya K will go over the spells and explain why they hit the way they do and how hard it happens.
Okay, so there are a few things going on. So you're a Found Tempo deck, and you win in the air. So first of all, you need 4 Annihilate because you need to address Sandstorm Titan. Rapid Shot, again, it hits. It allows you to attack through Sandstorm Titan, but moreover, it allows you to push damage. This is ultimately a burn deck. Do not be confused by the presence of Haunting Scream. This is not an infiltrate deck. So you have your Permafrost and your Annihilate as your interaction. Just 2 pieces of interaction whose only purpose is to set your opponent back on tempo. So they drop, say, a World Bear Behemoth, and you go Permafrost, and you develop your board. The Haunting Scream Dark Return package, there's only 2 Dark Returns because you don't want to get flooded on them. 3 may also be appropriate, again, depending on your pocket of the metagame, depending on how often you're drawing the Haunting Screams. But that's the classic. Scream a unit at them, buff it up, get in there, the unit dies, next turn you Dark Return it. It has the charge, it has the flying, you replay it, it's charging now. And Haunting Scream and Dark Return, that's a classic synergy. It builds on top of itself to allow you to play undercosted Soulfire Drakes with benefits. So that's been around since set 1. I'm sure people know how that works. The new wrinkle here is the Gift of Battle. 3 in the main, 1 in the market. That is the new unsung hero of the set.
Hold up, we lost Ilya K.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
So, where did you lose me?
The new unsung hero of the set, and
Okay,
I
so
can't agree with you more. Like I
Gift of
love
Battle
this
and
card.
Dusk Raider. Dusk Raider has both Inspire and Berserk. Two new mechanics. Inspire says when you draw a card with this card in play. So for those that have played Crown Roaches, Crown of Possibilities, essentially was Inspire before we got the keyword codified. So if you look at Breeze Dancer, who is a crown on wings, that is exactly what Inspire is. It's when you draw a card, give it something. Dusk Raider gives it Berserk. Gift of Battle is a spell that gives a unit Berserk. It costs 1 and a primal. It is a spell at slow speed, so you can't say, I'm going to see which units you didn't block, give it Berserk, declare a second attack after the attacker was unblocked. You have to declare a berserk attack before blockers. So there's a lot of counterplay to this, which means you as the player need to set up a turn that they have a difficult time blocking your berserk attack because it's declared before any blockers. Gift of Battle says your unit, if it's unblocked, it has double damage for this turn. And when you're talking about rapid shot, you're talking about giving. So say you put uh you resolved Midnight Gale. They didn't torch it. It's now your turn 4, right? And they don't have a flying blocker. You rapid shot. You Gift of Battle your Midnight Gale. You are getting in. Your 4 attack unit is now getting in for 16 damage. That one turn. 8 of which will have lifesteal. At least 8 of which, depending on if you infiltrated it or not prior. So that's essentially the crux of the deck, which is to say, I have Rapid Shot and I have Gift of Battle. They stack up with a hard hitting unit's attack. And I'm going to use these cards as a burn spell. For those that have played Stone Scar Burn back in the old days, when you're trying to go, Instigator, Champion of Chaos, Queen, Obliterate, Flame Blast, this deck works along similar lines. Rapid Shot, while people usually say that this is a combat trick to kill their unit in combat, in this deck, you actually want to avoid using it on units. You want to combo with Gift of Battle to throw it at their face. This deck is about using its power to do a lot of damage. For instance, I played a 3-drop and suddenly I'm hitting for 16 because I played 3 power worth of spells the next turn. For example, if you want to get 16 damage with Burn, you would have to play something like an Obliterate and 3 Torches, and that only gets you to 15, right? So, name of the game, power efficiency with damage through spells. Haunting Scream. So, for example, a line of play, the deck's so-called ultra combo for you fighting game aficionados is your Rindra traded in an attack. Turn 5, you Haunting Scream him to give him flying in charge. You Berserk him. You Rapid Shot him. So now you have 18 damage overwhelm in the air with an additional point coming next turn through Nightfall. That's 19 out of 25 damage. 76% of your opponent's life total, so you have the rest of your deck to deal 6 damage. So for instance, you're on the play, you go Snowcrest Yeti, trade that off with an Oni Ronin, then Territorial Elf, and they miss their 2-drop for whatever reason. You get in for 6 with a Territorial Elf. You have an unblocked Territorial Elf. Or maybe, turn 1 you go Felon Banner depleted, turn 2 Territorial Elf. You're on the play. They go turn 1 depleted power, turn 2 pass. You get in for 6 damage. Later, you play a Rindra, say he gets vanquished on the spot. Turn 5, you draw your 5th power. Scream, Rapid, Gift of Battle. You take them to 1. You pass the turn, say go, and then Nightfall kills them. So that was 2 units, 3 spells, uh, and a very low power outlay, and they're dead on the spot. So that's what the units and spells are combining to do.
Yeah. Talking about the Ranger play and everything, that's like the amount of damage this can do. This is also talking that like your opponent used a removal spell too. It's not like we're doing Christmas Land where your opponent never has a spell to answer your units. We're actually Ilya K set up a scenario where the unit did die.
Right.
And one thing we missed, not necessarily missed, but say your opponent has some kind of life gain or whatever, and they've gotten out of range of the 6 damage and then the Rendra play. Not only are you hitting for 18 one Nightfall mechanic, Rendra has life steal, so you're gaining 18 life. And if you didn't kill them, you have Nightfall. You're going to draw 2 cards. You're going to be back in the game. You're going to still have enough life total that you can try to find another line of play, maybe a Haunting Scream. We'll go over the Merchant mechanic with this deck a little bit sooner. But, like, yeah, it's not like you're in and out. It's not like it's just hitting for 18 and, oh, I didn't get there. You're hitting for 18 and it's life gain, so.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. For those that have seen Overmasters, was it Overmasters? I forget who played the deck. It's called the Screaming Ranger Brigade. It dominated an ETS. I'm not sure if it won or not, but it definitely top aided. And even though you no longer have the Vara top end, you can scream a Rindra, and if they survive that, then guess what? He still has Berserk, and then you Dark Return him and say, oh, you survived the initial 19? How about another 11? Well,
it's another 12, right? Like Dark Return 6, so 12.
Oh, right.
And then Nightfall's 13.
13, excuse me. Not 11, 13. So.
Which I made that mistake earlier, a couple nights ago. It's completely reversed because I forgot that Dark Return gave it +1/+1. I was like, oh, we got this with Nightfall. And then I was like, oh, no, +1/+1. Make sure you don't forget that, guys. It's not just returning a unit with all its keyword about, like Berserk, with all the keywords from Haunting Scream. Dark Return +1/+1 is very relevant.
Right. This deck, I don't want to say it's perfectly tuned. I think people that spend more time in this deck might find ways to improve it. But this deck is not tuned to overkill people. Like, this isn't your Stone Scar Burn of yesteryear that if they don't have anything in their deck, you have around 50 points of burn, in the deck to just point at their face. This has a lot of small units whose job it is just to get in there, do a little bit of chip, get some interaction out of the opponent's hand, and, help your later units get there. One unit we didn't talk about is Geneva Merchant, Jenny for short. I'm not sure if it's should I cover the market first or the power base?
I'll cover the power base if you want to cover the market, because I think the market's very important.
So the idea comes from Ahorn Delphin's Stone Scar Aggro power base, which was 27 power, 2 of which are Cabal standards, which is a depleted Shadow Source, Transmute 5, which means when you get to 5 power, it transforms into another card called Cabal Tactic, which costs 2 and a Shadow, and it gives 2 units +2 attack and quick draw for the turn. So it's Rapid Shot split up among 2 units. Instead of one having quick draw, now both of them have quick draw, but half the attack. So if you're still in combat by turn 5 and you want to get a couple of attackers through, say you have Rindra and Midnight Gale against a Sandstorm Titan, or against a pair of Sandstorm Titans, you could attack both. They block both, thinking, oh, okay, I have, even if you rapid shots, one of these units, I'm going to have a 2-for-1. Surprise, surprise, Cabal Tactic, both their Titans are dead, and both of your units won combat. That's a massive tempo blow. You spend 2 power to kill 8. You'll probably develop another unit, and next turn you're just getting in there. So that's what Cabal Tactic is there for. Amethyst Waystone, some people are contentious about this. Some people really do not like Nightfall. They think it's a drawback. I say Amethyst Waystone provides you gas, and it provides you damage. Again, this deck is tuned to get there, not by overkilling them, but by having just enough that it can cover its bases early on, just enough to get to its lifesteal units against aggressive decks, and then just enough to kill them when you're the beatdown. So that's the explanation for the less orthodox powers. 4 Found Banners, 4 Seed of Cunning, 4 Diplomatic Seal. This deck tops out at double Primal, double Shadow, and it's an aggressive deck. This is the exact kind of deck you want your Diplomatic Seals in. Found Banner, Seed of Cunning. Again, these cards have been with us since set 1. That's just bread and butter of your standard aggressive decks. And then the Primal and the Shadow is basically hit the add power for the 9 remaining sigils.
Yeah, I just want to touch base a little bit more on it. A lot of people don't like having more than 25 power. They want to throw in Seek Power, or they want to throw in Var's Choice in this deck.
Var's Favor.
Or Var's Favor. Sorry, thank you, Var's Favor. The explanation that I feel is the best is you look at this curve and you hear all the explanations Ilya K is talking about, like turn 4, turn 5, all these big explosive turns. This requires you to have these units on board prior turns, so you don't have time to play Seek Power, you don't have time to play Var's Favor. You definitely need to spend your turns developing, but also you definitely want to have 4 power. You don't, this deck does not want to miss power, so that's why you see the increase of 27 compared to your 25 and having some other thinning of the deck.
Right, and coupled with Genève Merchant and Nightfall, flooding is less of an issue. I can't say it won't happen, because it does. Any deck can flood, especially one lower to the ground. But again, as far as aggressive decks go, this one is a bit more resilient to it because it has the Nightfall to get over some humps, and it has a merchant it can use for its plan. So you can run a little more power, but again, there are a lot of cards you want in the deck, and you do want to be drawing action, because there's only so much power that this deck can use.
Yeah, you don't want. I think 27 is good because you're talking about sometimes you're drawing too much power. Also, at some point your 1-drops are just useless. So
Yes.
Not only is there a chance to flooding, there's also a chance of drawing some things that you might not necessarily want to see late game. I think that covers the main board. Let's go over the market, and I have to say, man, this is one of the better markets I've seen. I'm one of the big fans of having a power in the market. As you could tell, there's no reason to have one, because by the time you're at 3, you're pretty much able to play everything in your deck besides Rentra. Let's just go over the merchant itself in the market.
Okay, so Genève Merchant costs 3 in a Primal. She is a 3/2 Aegis, which is actually quite relevant as far as having a unit that sticks on board against more controlling types of decks. So if you're against a Hailstorm deck, that Aegis is going to allow you to get in with Genève Merchant. So a line against a control deck sometimes might be to just put Gift of Battle and Rapid Shot on Genève Merchant and say, take 14, you filthy spell spammer. And you killed my Genève Merchant. Scream her back, get another card from my market, which might be another Scream, take another 6, Dark Return her, and so on.
Yeah.
So the body itself, when you're not looking to, when you don't need quick draw to burst through other enemies because you have some removal, or um, or you have hunting scream, what have you, is that she's Vadius without the.
I think we lost him again.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
She's Vladis without the what?
Without the quick draw.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So sometimes the quick draw in Vadius just isn't relevant. And so Genev Merchant, I think, as far as attacking merchants go, she and Ixton Merchant are the best attacking merchants. I mean, that's just math. 3 is more than 2 and more than 1. Who is ultimately the best attacker depends on which deck you play. Rapid Shot on Ixton Merchant, 7-3 Overwhelm, not bad. But again,
it can be torched, and this one can't.
Genev Merchant being a good target for something like an Accelerated Evolution in another deck, or just Berserk and the Haunting Scream and a Dark Return buff in this one. Aegis units wear buffs very well, and a Screamed Dark Return Genev Merchant 4/3 flying Aegis charge is no joke, especially with Berserk. So that's the unit body itself. She's a solid 3-drop. She attacks, and she fetches cards from the market. Now, 3 of these I'm absolutely certain of. Gift of Battle, Haunting Scream, Rindra the Duskblade. They're 4th copies of decks found in the main deck. As you could see, 3 Gift of Battle, 3 Rindra, 3 Scream, main deck. That's not because I'm hedging on numbers. That's so I can fetch the 4th copy when I need it. The other 2, Lightning Storm and Rindra's Choice. The idea behind Lightning Storm being, if a deck is more aggressive than this deck, it's probably playing a lot of X1s and a lot of X2s, and a Lightning Storm can wipe them out. Because you're probably saying, I'm not the beatdown against a Stone Scar Rally or a Stone Scar Queen deck. I've traded off my Snowcrust Yetis, my Twilight Raptors, my Dusk Raiders. I've thrown my Territorial Elf into the market. Bloodsent, Avisaur, Midnight Gale, and Rindra will hold the line. Here's a Lightning Storm, wipe your board. Now I can lifesteal and get, create some distance in the life race in this aggressive matchup. That is the hypothesis. I have not yet found a need to get that Lightning Storm. Even against the Skycrag deck that Sifu played, it was get your Rindra or get your Gift of Battle or get your Scream and kill them before they kill you. Rindra's Choice is basically, I need to remove a multi-faction unit. Maybe you need to just get in on the ground and there's a big fat Tavrod clogging your way. That's what that's for. It's an emergency interaction for a multi-faction unit. Maybe kill that Maiden. Again, these 2 cards, these reactive cards, are cards I am not sure about. Again, depending on your pocket of the meta, you might want different cards in there. You might want an aerial battle. You might want a changey stick. You might want levitate. But generally, in my experience with the Genev Merchant, I found myself going for the proactive cards. I'm an aggressive deck. I want to get in my opponent's face. I want to push my plan and make my opponent have it rather than try to switch gears and play defensively.
Yeah, because if they don't have it and you're playing around it, they will eventually have it because you're waiting too long.
Exactly.
I will say this real quick. Ranger's Choice is really nice if they have a Horizon. Of course, Maiden's really rough on us since we're trying to do Haunting Scream, Dark Return tricks. There was one game. We ended up winning it. I don't know if you remember. We had to waste 2 rapid shots on a Black Sky. Our opponent went turn 6 Black Sky Harbinger, turn 7 Black Sky Harbinger.
Yes, we had to blow rapid shots.
We still won that game.
Yes.
But and also you might be saying, well, that was stupid that they blocked. The deck, we've already talked about all the ideas of how it can hit for 16 plus damage. I believe our opponents would have been dead if they didn't block, and they were just trying to stabilize, gain a little life. We had to waste both rapid shots. We still got pushed through with enough damage. The one game that I could not win, that I did lose against, we lost because our opponents had like crazy Ryzen plays, and then we ended up losing to an Akari. So Render's Choice, I don't see it helping that much against Akari because Annihilate doesn't hit it, Permafrost doesn't hit it. So, but
Ikaria, you really need to race her.
Yeah, you need to win before her or have enough damage
yes.
where it's relevant.
Right. You have to win before they draw their war cries. Like, let's be real. If someone's able to live to cast Ikaria against this deck and draw her war cries, credit where it's due, they probably earned that win.
Correct. So, would there ever, talking about like cards that could be in the market and just hedging on some numbers, I remember you mentioning something about Dark Returning as being maybe a 3 of. Is there ever a case where you take a Permafrost and replace Render's Choice in the market and put in a...
That's a very good point, actually. That is a very good point. I can certainly see cutting one Permafrost for one Dark Return and then putting that Permafrost, that fourth Permafrost, in the market above a Lightning Storm or a Render's Choice. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I don't know if I would personally do it. I just want to give y'all guys options at home that pick this deck up, things that y'all might want to try out, things like that. One thing while we're talking about the market, it's very important to know that the card she picks up is drawn. So, for instance, if you have Dusk Raider and board that says the Inspire that does some, your units that you draw get Berserk, the Merchant pulling out Rendra when you have a Dusk Raider on board automatically gives you Berserk, so you don't have to get that Gift of Battles or anything like that.
Correct.
You automatically get it.
So,
effect.
like a turn 5 play, you don't have a Rendra, you just have the Dusk Raider and Jenny in hand. You go Dusk Raider, Genev Merchant, and they can't counter this. Like, you cannot respond to units being played in Eternal. You have a Rendra with Berserk before they're able to do anything about that.
Yeah, in hand, just ready to go. And that's like, we're not trying to, form Voltron here or anything, but there is a lot of synergy between Gift of Battle and Rapid Shot. Having part of the card already attached to the unit, while this card being able to give you Nightfall, and also, Dusk Rider gives you Nightfall, that gives you 2 extra card draws to try to get to Rapid Shot in the turn you need it, and not having to worry about drawing a gift as well.
Correct. As Paradox has said, Dusk Raider was really underrated going into set 4 because 2/2s for 2, who gives a shit? Turns out she is very useful. She is useful in Skycrag Berserk. She's useful in this deck, and I've even seen a Berserk Shimmer Pack deck, I kid you not, on the subreddit, that the plan is have a Dusk Raider in play and Genev or Aurelian Merchant or your one copy of Shimmer Pack from the market.
And then all Shimmer Hacks have, And
then when you pass that Shimmer Pack, any of those dinos that go unblocked, illusions, suddenly hit for double damage.
That's a whole different deck, and we might actually cover that at some point on my stream. That sounds awesome.
I have my reservations about your win con needing to cost 8 power, but my goodness, if that actually goes off, I will be laughing to the moon.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be trying that out next time on stream. Here's the deck. Feln Berserk. I never got the real name that you call it. I know there's a lot of lists running around called Feld Angro, but yeah, what would you call it, Ilya K? Feln Berserk?
What I called it on Eternal Warcry was Nightfall Berserk, because Feln Tempo seems to, it's a classic name, but it's also a bit of a nothing burger. Feln Tempo just means I'm running Twilight Raptor in this deck.
Yeah.
So I have it saved as Nightfall Tempo, but I think Nightfall Berserk Feln
Yeah, definitely have the Nightfall in there.
is a descriptive name because ultimately you're looking to capitalize on both Nightfall and Berserker.
Yeah.
I think that's what updates this deck for set 4. I'm not sure if it's a tier 1 deck. I've certainly had some success with it. Sifu, you've clearly had some success with it. I think a lot of that success is owed to this deck not being very popular.
Yeah, definitely.
And
If the deck gets popular, people would know how to play around it more and fit
in
cards for it.
Eternal, when something is popular and when something is targeted, well, it's uh, come up with a new deck because no deck is, thankfully, is good enough to survive, being targeted. Otherwise, we'd have a real problem on our hands.
Yeah, we'd have a really stale meta. Um, one more thing,
But
talking about cards that go in and out. I'm sorry, Ilya.
yes,
Uh, we were discussing earlier, and I meant to mention it earlier, but I got infatuated with what you were talking about, how the units work and everything. The Snowcrest Yeti and the Twilight Raptor. We were talking about those numbers could be changed. If you're coming across a lot of aggro, maybe the 4th Twilight Raptor, so you can stay in the air. Me personally, I found that with the meta was the way it was the other night, Snowcrest Yeti was decent because giving yourself 8 units that have Aegis between the Merchant and Yeti, their removal package being board wipes aren't as effective against you. Like, no one wants to board wipe and only kill 2 units, and your opponent still has 2 units that, are dealing 5 a turn. That's pretty quick death rate right there, especially when the deck can just pop out of damage and out of nowhere. So,
right.
if you do change that number, I know it's not much of a difference, but you are lowering your Aegis count. So, be like, that is a change you could do. And we talked about the Dark Return and the Permafrost. I don't honestly know any more you'd want to do to the deck, really, but
I myself don't know either. One thing I thought about a little bit more is if you're not satisfied with Territorial Elf and maybe Snowcrest Yeti isn't where you want to be on your pocket of the meta, you could try going the Shadow route with Sewer Sludge and Argentport Instigator.
yeah.
If that tickles your fancy. Again, going from single shadow to double shadow on the influence for Argentport Instigator hurt like I won't even say the curse word, but
I appreciate it.
it hurt a lot. So just a heads up, this deck is pretty influence hungry pretty quickly. It's as influence hungry as a two-faction deck, two-faction aggressive deck really gets. But that's something you can consider. You might also consider just dropping the Snowcrest Yeti entirely and saying, I'm going to start my attack on turn 2. Probably not what you want to do. But if you're looking at different pockets of the meta, Twilight Raptor 3 to 4, Snowcrest Yeti between 0 and 4, Territorial Elf. You can sit it for another 2-drop, such as a Rip Knife or an Instigator, if that's the direction you want to go. Bloodscent Aevasaur. Some people don't like any more Nightfall than is necessary. You might try something else, like a Daring Pioneer, if that's the direction you want to go in that slot, because maybe you're afraid of a board wipe, and rather than give your opponent more draws to that board wipe, you say, I'm going to negate it. There are a lot of changes that you can potentially make, to that unit base.
I like the flying better.
on that low end. There's no right or wrong. It's a matter of your pocket of the meta, and what you're trying to do. Different units have different ups and downs. Sludge doesn't hit as hard out of the gate, but can grow.
Yeah.
And allows you to play Instigator on curve. You might even want to go Knife Jack, because a 2/2 can attack into a Grenadin drone and take both of them out in a trade rather than just one. Again, all different strokes, different folks. You might even replace the Bloodscent Aevasaurs with Shadowlands Guides, get back your Yetis, your Raptors.
Yeah. There's a lot you can do with the deck. But I think the video. I think we've gone through the deck enough. I want to thank Ilya K for stopping by. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Sure.
Is there any kind of promo you want to spit or anything like that you want to do real quick?
So, well, this isn't Eternal related. I have my systematic trading blog, quantstracttrader.wordpress.com. 3 words, all in, just back to back. It's systematic trading. It's how you can actually make money in the financial markets. Give it a read, give it a look-see if that's what you're interested in. Beyond that, if I ever return to streaming, it's twitch.tv/Ilya K 1986. Beyond that, shout out to my teammates at Team O&D Owls and Dragons. Shout out to the other best team in Eternal Titans. A lot of great deck techs. They have a new site up, eternaltitans.com. Check them out. A source of a lot of inspiration for me. And while I'm not sure it's quite confirmed yet, Thundershot and I might have a podcast releasing in the future talking about, more cold, hard facts, things that other podcasts don't touch on. And so stay tuned, and hopefully I'll have more content for you in a video format in the near future. And thanks for having me, Sifu.
Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that'll be it for me. Be sure to, if you enjoyed the video, click the subscriber button down below. I'll have a lot of links down below. Hopefully, I'll get with Ilya K and maybe get some of the links that he just talked about posted. I want to do a quick shout out to Team Rankstar. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun with you guys, and I hope we get to keep making good content, producing some good stuff. You guys take care, and until next time.